I got the mic, and I'm going to take responsibility. Unlike some of these millennial coaches in the National Football League. Jim, I see that you have a scapegoat season in the NFL. I don't know what your take is on it. I think I'm going to agree with you, though, because I'm looking at some of these firings from these coaches, and I'm thinking, okay, so what's your messaging is? Your messaging is things didn't go well, and it's not your fault. It's not. I know they'll spin it into, well, I'm being accountable. The buck stops with me. It starts and stops here, so I've got to make tough decisions. Well, I don't know about that. Maybe a more noble decision is to say what you did to put your team in this situation and not blame people down the line. Jim, I'm shocked. The LA Chargers blew a 27-zip lead in a playoff game, and they fired the quarterback's coach and the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
What?
Look, I would say this to you. I know. I would say this to you. What this is to me is about a day and age now where I'm going to make changes to keep my job. It is not about, I think they did a poor job. It is about ownership that says, if you want to stay on the sideline in that position, you got to make some changes. Some coaches do, and some don't. I'll give you, for instance, last year, or not last year, but a couple of years ago, this very same franchise, the Chargers, it was known that they wanted some changes on the coaching staff. Anthony Lynn, who is a man of character, said, not doing it. And what happened? Anthony Lynn got fired. And you and I have talked about this. You and I have talked about this in the past with Marty Schottenheimer going all the way back to Cleveland. The ownership, Art Modell, wanted changes on the staff. Marty Schottenheimer said, I'm not making those changes. And so what happened? Marty was out in Cleveland. So to me, it's when I use that phrase scapegoat, look, Byron Leftwich is taking the fall for some of the things that went on in Tampa. And a few years ago, before Tom Brady arrived, what did that offense look like with Byron Leftwich running it with Jameis Winston? It put up tremendous numbers in terms of the pass game, a 5,000-yard passing season, I think 33 touchdown passes. It so happens Jameis Winston also threw 30 interceptions. Are we going to put that on Byron Leftwich? But anyway, that offense was one of the better offenses or more productive offenses in the NFL that year. Tom comes in, and what does he do? First 2 years, he puts up all these crazy numbers, and we want to give credit solely to Tom Brady. And now that there's a bad year, and Brady doesn't play well, and Mike Evans doesn't play well, and whatnot.
Preach!
Now
Preacher,
it's Byron Leftwich's. It's Byron Leftwich's fault. I mean, come on here. What are we doing here? And the thing that bothers me most about this, Michael, if I can be completely frank here, is that when you do something like this, it attacks the character of these men who are being let go, particularly a guy like Byron Leftwich, who we know last year had an opportunity to be the head coach at Jacksonville and decided to pull out because he didn't feel the situation was right. But Byron Leftwich is a good football coach. Byron Leftwich is a good offensive football coach. Byron Leftwich played quarterback in the NFL. He knows the position and whatnot. His offenses have put up numbers prior to Tom Brady even being there. So it's just curious to me that one bad season, and what's the reaction? You're out. And I have not talked to Todd Bowles about this yet, but I have to believe that for him to keep his job, there needed to be changes made on that staff. And that's the unfortunate thing that Byron Leftwich ended up being one of the people who was let go.
See, there's a lot there. You said a lot of good stuff there, Jim. I agree with it all. This is not one of those contrived, I got to disagree with Trotter to make it better. No, we don't do that. I agree with everything you said, and I'll start here. You know, one of the things that makes me cringe when I hear teams do it, it makes me cringe, although it's accurate. When they do when they break it down, family on three, 1, 2, 3, family. You know, you hear like basketball teams do that sometimes. Football teams do that when they go into a huddle and they break on family. Well, some families have your back. Some families will come together. They can talk about each other, but if you try to come at them, no, this is a united front. And you're not going after our brother. You're not going after our sister. Not on our watch. We do this together. And some families turn on each other. And so I think, 1, 2, 3 family, we're seeing the families that kind of turn on each other. Yeah, during the season, hey, we're in this together. Hey, nobody outside this locker room understands. We're in this. Come on, this is a brotherhood. But then when it comes down to it, what do you do, as you pointed out, when the owner comes to you and says, all right, you're going to keep your job and do what I want, or you're going to stand by your principles? And some people stand by their principles and say, you keep the damn job. You got the job. I know I can coach. I know I'll land somewhere else. It may take, I may go on a 2-year detour. It may be a 3-year detour. But I'm gonna come up on the right side of this. I'm gonna be able to sleep at night and keep my conscience because I'm gonna make the right decision. And let me just get to Tom Brady here for a second. Tom Brady's a coach killer. He is. Now, he's a coach killer. Let me just go back, okay? Brian Flores told us last year, about almost a year ago, Brian Flores came out with his lawsuit. Racial discriminatory hiring practices against the National Football League. And in that paperwork, we learned all sorts of things about the Miami Dolphins, how they incentivized him to lose. The Dolphins paid the price, by the way. Sorry, Stephen Ross, you don't think you did anything wrong. Yeah, well, a suspension and lost income or a fine says otherwise from the NFL.
And
so it's one of the worst things.
And draft code.
Roger Goodell said it was one of the worst things he's ever seen. That's in print. You can look that up. Well documented. But one of the things that was going to happen, Tom Brady, he's always around when coaches are losing their jobs. So Tom Brady and Sean Payton were going to come in. Brian Flores out. Tua Tagovailoa out. Sean Payton and Tom Brady in. That's one. That was going to happen. That whole plan blew up. So they were going to do that. So by extension, you could say Tom Brady was fine with that plan. So Brian Flores, a guy who was on his staff in New England, loses his job. So be it. It's what I need. It's what Tom Brady needs. Now, let's go second year in Tampa. He retires after that second year in Tampa. Then he comes back. Then all of a sudden, Bruce Arians is like, whoa. Oh, I've been retired here. I'm retired. So Bruce Arians retires. Tom Brady, I have a great relationship with Bruce. Now that Bruce is up in the booth, now third year in Tampa. Byron Leftwich, couldn't stop loving on Byron Leftwich in 2020. Hey, he's a great play caller. He's a great mind. I really enjoy it. They were great in 2020 on offense. They were great in 2021 on offense. They were not great in 2022. I'm sure Byron Leftwich could have been better in 2022. Let's not let him off the hook. He could have been better in 22. You know who else could have been better in 22? You know who else could have been better? Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. Hey, man, you're the leader of the team. And I know this is going to sound insensitive to some people, but so be it. Everybody got problems. He's not the only one going through a divorce. He's not the only one going through personal problems away from the facility. A lot of guys, you can't tell me that coaches and players and staff for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that everything was smooth for them in their personal lives last summer. But Tom Brady's the only one who went away for 11 days. Dude, you can't go away for 11 days and then expect everything is going to be fine in training camp. Furthermore, Robert Kraft gets married in New York on a Friday. Tom Brady, on a Friday, goes to New York for the wedding, misses a walkthrough on a Saturday in Pittsburgh, then shows up in Pittsburgh yelling at his teammates because they're not performing at a high level. They lose that game. Now Byron Leftwich has lost his job. So it's all about Tom. And I respect him. Let's not get into this. Oh, you hating on Brady. I'm just telling the truth about Brady because I've seen him I still think he's the greatest player I've ever seen, greatest quarterback I've ever seen in NFL history. But he deserves some of this finger pointing too. But you know what? Byron Leftwich lost his job. Bruce Arians lost his job, and Tom Brady will go on to the next location. Probably not Tampa. Wherever it is, get the graveyards ready. You're going to need some more space because Tom Brady, there's going to be some coaching tombstones there too when Tom Brady comes to your city.
What did we talk about before the season? And I said to you, I didn't think Tampa was going to make the playoffs. And had it not been for them being in a horrible division, they would not have made it. That said, why did I say that to you? And I told you at the time, when you think about retirement, there is this adage that you are already retired. And he had already retired and then came back. So his mind was not right, in my opinion, from Jump Street. The second thing is, if you watch Tom Brady this year, when he was in New England, one of the things you saw is that he was willing to stand in that pocket and take the hit to deliver the pass.
Ooh.
When I watched Tom Brady this year, I saw a quarterback who did not want to stand in the pocket and take the hit to deliver the pass. And I'm like you. I'm not hating on Tom Brady. I think he's the greatest quarterback ever in the history of this game. And that's coming from a guy who is a San Francisco native and who had sworn for decades there would never be another quarterback greater than Joe Montana. Okay? And I'm saying that Tom Brady is the greatest. But I also know this, when you get older, things change. Your game changes. And look, if everything is perfect around him, if the pocket is clean, he can still sling it with the best of them, I believe. But that ain't the game in Tampa, and we knew that when they lost 3 offensive linemen at the start of the season, that was not going to be it. And so, again, he did not play well this year. Mike Evans did not play well this year. Leonard Fournette did not play well this year. The offensive line did not play well this year. And so for Byron Leftwich and Clyde Christensen and others to take the fall for that, I just think it's terrible. And the other thing is, you say Tom's going to go on to his next stop. This better be a buyer beware for whatever that next team is, because you are not getting the Tom Brady, the one who won 7 Super Bowls. You're not. You're getting a quarterback who is older, who doesn't want to be hit. And if I'm reading this right from what I saw this year, I can't say that his commitment to football is 100% beyond everything else as it used to be. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, to go into a situation where your quarterback doesn't want to be hit. And I heard somebody talking, I can't remember. I want to give credit.
And look, no quarterback wants to be hit. Let's acknowledge that. No quarterback wants to be hit, right?
They don't want it, but
Correct.
You usually don't know that. It's not that obvious. And if I'm one of his teammates, if they dare and go back and watch that film from the wild card game against Dallas, I wouldn't watch that together. If I'm Tom Brady, I wouldn't sit there and watch that with my teammates because it's embarrassing. Those guys know, especially the defensive players. Defensive players know when you don't want any kind of contact. They can. So defensive players on his team sitting there watching that film, seeing him skip passes, release the ball early. He threw that interception in the end zone. It was 6-zip because of the extra point situation. We'll talk about that later. But it was 6-zip. Tampa has a 1st and goal situation. Looks like they're going to score something. It'll be 6-3, if not 7-6. Okay, they got a kicker who can make extra points. And Tom Brady doesn't want to get hit, and he tries to throw it away in the back of the end zone, interception. That was all because he didn't want to get hit. He had about, I'm going to say at least a half dozen of those throws, probably more, since he threw the ball 66 times, Jim. 66 times in a playoff game. So how can I go in to a season knowing my quarterback will be fine unless things aren't perfect? It's football. Things will be imperfect.
Absolutely.
A lineman's going to get
Absolutely.
beat. The best of them. Your best guard,
Absolutely.
your best tackle is going to get beat. And your quarterback's
But
going to get hit.
Yeah, and what it also said to me, it was a reflection that he had absolutely no confidence in those people in front of him, right? Because if you're already shying away from that contact before it even arrives, which we saw at times this year, it tells me that you don't believe in those guys up front. And I'm not saying you should believe in them because they didn't play well up front. But the reality is when you play that position, you make a deal with the devil that there are times you're going to have to give it up to get something. You have to give something to get something. And what you give is your body to get that big play. And what I saw at various points this season is that Tom was not willing to give that. So if you are that team who is going to court him to play for you next season, just know that. Just know it.
And then how are you going to do that? I mean, how are you going to do? I'll say this. The last thing I'll say about Brady, because I kind of want to get in a word on Sean McVay too.
What you got on Sean? I want to hear this.
Okay, just on Brady, real quick. I'll say, look, if I need a great offensive line, if I need a tight end who can take the pressure off me, I need a great offensive scheme. I need a good running back. Between the tackles back and a third down back. I mean, okay, yeah. Don't we all? Don't we all? Like how many times can you create that? How many times can you create that situation? Give him credit. He did in 2020. They did in 2020 because you had Mike Evans, a younger Mike Evans, 3 years younger Mike Evans. You had Godwin, who was healthy. The answer was yes. They traded for Gronk, so you had Gronk in there. They were a good offense the year before, but remember Bruce Arians, they asked him, I think it was at the scouting combine, they said, hey, what does your team need? What's the biggest difference with your team, or what's the problem? He said quarterback. He said it flat out. That's before they had Brady. He said quarterback. And he even put it out, probably some tampering. He was like, hey, if we can get Tom Brady, we'll be in good shape. He knew that. The infrastructure was in place, and then Brady made it better because he added a couple more. They drafted a tackle in the first round. I think they drafted Tristan Wirfs there. So they were able to support him. But that's rare. It's rare that a team is going to have all of that infrastructure already in place, and then all you got to do is just tweak it a little bit, and now you got a championship-ready offense. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.